call him to the principal's office, or should we give him a minute?
Yes. It is on. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah,
Wasn't that when we were supposed to start?
my family and I have been going
Alright.
to since I was wee kid, so.
All right, good morning. Since it's 10 o'clock, let's officially call this meeting to order. First, can we have the roll call?
All right, I will read everyone's name. Please let us know if you're here in person or if you're virtual. Councilwoman Mandy Campbell.
Here.
Deputy Commissioner Matt Deitchley.
Here.
Councilperson Dwight Fish. Commissioner Deb Fleming.
Here.
Councilman Doug Graham. Commissioner Carrie Groninger. Here. Councilwoman Kathy Groninger.
Here.
Councilwoman Lori Hammond. Councilman Greg Hicksonball. Mayor Phil Jenkins.
Here virtually.
Deputy Commissioner Todd Johnson.
Here.
Mayor James Mueller. Commissioner Kevin Overmeyer.
Person.
Mayor Rod Robertson.
Here virtually.
Councilman Mark Root. Mayor Mark Center. Mayor Jeremy Mayor Stutzman could not attend today. He let us know in advance. Mayor Joseph Tallmer.
Present.
Welcome. Commissioner Susie Wyrick.
Present.
And Mayor Dave Wood. So we do have enough members in person that we can allow for virtual votes. Virtual votes can be cast by members who are virtually, who can both be seen and heard. And that means that we will do roll call votes for our items today.
Don't let me forget that.
I will try to remember.
Thank you. All right.
Hey, James.
Yes. Yes, Mayor? I think we can go ahead.
All right, so Mayor, if you get a chance to come back, that's great, but otherwise, let's talk about the minutes. Any motion on the minutes?
You can't hear me? Okay.
Oh, now we can hear you.
Oh, I'm
Sounded like
sorry.
it
I just
froze
want to
for
say
me.
that I'll be here. I'll be on for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
So moved.
I have a first and a second to approve the minutes from March 9th. All in favor, let's take a roll, please.
All right. I will only call on the members who have already, we've already noted as present. Please let us know how you vote. Councilwoman Mandy Campbell.
Abstain, I was not here.
Deputy Commissioner Deitchley.
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming.
Yes.
Commissioner Groninger.
Yes.
Councilwoman Groninger.
Yes.
Councilman Greg Hicksonball. Mayor Phil Jenkins.
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Todd Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Overmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Rod Robertson.
I think his screen went blank again.
Councilman Mark Root.
Yes.
Mayor Joseph Tallmer.
Yes.
Commissioner Wyrick.
Yes.
Mayor Wood. That motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have reports from the chairman. And I have nothing else. Do you have anything? Well, we'll get to you, I suppose, huh?
We have no additional chairman's report today.
A financial report from Debbie?
Good morning. The year-to-date expenses through the month of February was $4,314,204.18. That's approximately 53% of our annual fiscal year budget. Our cash balance at the end of February was $3,138,248.80. And our cash disbursements for the month of February was $508,967.48. Is there any questions about the February financial report? Not hearing any, I would like to ask for the board's approval of the February 2022 financial report.
Is there a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion for first and second. Let's do a roll call vote, please, to accept the financials.
Councilwoman Mandy Campbell,
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Deitchley,
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming,
Yes.
Commissioner Groninger,
Yes.
Councilwoman Groninger,
Yes.
Councilman Hicksonbaugh, Mayor Jenkins,
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Todd Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Overmeyer,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson, Councilman Root.
Yes, yes.
All right, I got you recorded. Councilman Root.
All right, you didn't get me on the minutes. I was wondering if I didn't, I wasn't present. I thought maybe you did hear me say present at the beginning.
All right. Councilman Root,
Yes.
Mayor Tomer,
Yes.
Commissioner Wyrick,
Yes,
Mayor Wood. That motion carries.
thank you.
Mayor Center.
Let the record show Mayor Center has joined in person. Next, we have a secretary's report. Any secretary report? Mr. Wood, are we good? All right, no secretary's report. I don't think we have any old business either, James, do
I was
we?
going to say, just as for the secretary side of things, the administrative modifications that staff do are in your packet. It's presented just as an informative purpose. So it is in your packet. If you have any questions about those March modifications, feel free to contact staff.
No action necessary.
No action necessary, strictly informative.
Okay, thanks. Any old business or? new
There's
business?
no old business today, only new business.
Perfect. Would you like to introduce new business?
Yep, presenting Transportation Resolution 922 will be Allison Reagan.
Good morning, everyone. So this month's amendments to our Transportation Improvement Program fall under Transportation Resolution 9-22. So under this resolution, we have items A and B, both of which are for Coal Line Trail Phase 2 from Riverside Drive to Angela Boulevard in the city of South Bend. So this project went to bid in January, and it was unfavorable to say the least. It came in about $1 million over estimate, and there was only one bid. So it was ineligible, which kind of is unfortunately the name of the game right now. So this project will be rebid in May, but in an effort to increase the number of eligible bidders, the city has decided to split this project into 2 phases. So we'll have phase 2A, which will just be the trail component, and then phase 2B, which will be the pedestrian bridge. So with this, item A of resolution 9-22 is for Coal Line Trail Phase 2A, so just the trail work. We'll keep the original DES number for the project, but we'll just be removing the bridge work. So this results in a decrease in federal funding by $1.4 million. And then item B is for phase 2B, so the pedestrian bridge plus some of the work on the western bank of the river. We've received a new DES number for this, so we'll be adding this phase into the TIP in fiscal year 23 when more funding is available. And I will note the overall cost estimate for this project has gone up significantly, around $2 million, which is close to the original bid that was received in January, and it's largely due just to the inflated prices we're seeing currently. So I'm happy to answer any questions about items A or B of Transportation Resolution 9-22.
Any questions?
This isn't really a question, it's more informative to the board. As Ally mentioned, so far since the beginning of this year, we've had 8 lettings for local projects in the region, only 2 of which were awardable, just because of rising costs and lack of competition. So there have been a number of construction firms that have acquired each other in our region. So we have a few less firms that are bidding on projects. As well, then there are 3 components to an awardable bid. It is usually that either the project is under $1 million, or there are 4 or more bids, or it is within 115% of the engineer's estimate. And we have seen projects running the gamut from trails, sidewalks, full road reconstructions. Every project type has had challenges since January with lettings. And the main thing is that they are not getting 4 or more bids, or they are not within 115%. We had a project that went to a letting that was within 170% of the engineer's estimate. So we were seeing large increases in costs on projects. So if you do have any upcoming lettings, please be prepared for that. Please try to encourage competition on your projects, because we have faced, in the 14 years that I've done this, we have faced an astronomically difficult time letting projects and having awardable bids. This has been unprecedented. So I just want to make sure the whole actions of what we're doing in 922 is really related to this topic of unawardable bids. And also, the earlier you can have projects let in a fiscal year, prior to December, I would say, or December or earlier, hopefully the better. Once we get to January, February, March, April, May, I feel like the bid prices continue to go up. So just as an FYI.
So on that, excuse me, on that same topic, I know we've been dealing with the same thing in Elkhart County. We have some different criteria though, so we're still a little flexible and can either bid or rebid. If we're looking at rebidding in May, what are we looking to do to, outside of increase the available funding, the consolidation of engineering firms, construction firms, because that's not necessarily something we can control.
Yeah, no, but what we've tried to do with this project, as an example, the bridge limited the number of firms who were qualified to bid on it.
Mhm.
So what we have done is removed the bridge and made it a trail project. So it is more enticing to more firms. More firms are qualified to bid on it since it does not involve the specialized work involved with the bridge. And then the bridge will go in the next fiscal year and we'll have more time, as well as additional resources that we'll be able to dedicate towards making that actually work. The other side of this is talking through with NDOT, and I know NDOT has had these challenges. This is not unique just to our area. This is a statewide issue with bidding right now, but making sure that cost estimations are updated as well is a big, because usually those cost estimations are based on historic lettings, and if those historic prices were in November when prices were reasonable, yeah, there's a lagging indicator there, and so cost estimations were also rather low compared to where bidding has gone. So I know NDOT's working on that as well.
Hey, James, just
Yes.
being as though I'm a contractor, I don't want the contractors to all get beat up. I mean,
No,
the increased cost of material, like PVC piping's like up 300%. I mean, obviously, we all know what fuel's done.
Right.
But, and obviously, when contractors' bellies get full, and that's happening earlier, I mean, a lot of contractors are a year or more out already. So the longer you give them when that project starts, the more competitive they're probably going to be.
And that's where we see some of our best pricings and the lettings that occurred, say, in October, November, December, which were contractors preparing for this upcoming upcoming construction season. We saw some of the best prices and awardable prices. Once we hit January, contractors were then trying to fit projects in their schedules, and they were not seeing as aggressive as bids. So they were more, inflated prices or increasing prices. And as we've gone further in the year, I mean, we had one project that let at 2.5 and then 2 months later let at $3 million. It was the same project, relet, and it was $500,000 more expensive 2 months later. So it's just kind of the nature of where we are. So we just want to make sure that everybody's aware. I know you see this on your local levels, but wanting to make sure that you're aware, and especially with the federal side, and these are state laws that are in effect for awardability of projects. So we just want to make sure everybody's aware. We're trying to work through it. spend all of our funds as appropriately as possible. But wanting to make sure that folks are aware kind of the current trends.
Okay. Any other questions?
And I was just going to note, this was a big talking point at our quarterly tracking meeting last week, and we made sure that we had updated estimates for all of our projects just to ensure that we're accounting for inflation and hopefully can stay within the 115% to get some more awardable bids. So working through that. If there is no more discussion, I would ask for the board's approval of Resolution 9-22.
So moved.
So I have a first and a second. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Campbell. Deputy Commissioner Deitchley.
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming.
Yes.
Commissioner Groninger.
Yes.
Councilwoman Groninger.
Yes.
Councilman Hicksonbaugh. Mayor Jenkins.
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Overmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes.
Councilman Root. Mayor Center. Mayor Tolmer.
Yes.
Commissioner Wyrick.
Yes.
Mayor Wood. That motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 1022.
So under Transit Resolution 10-22, first we have item A. So Transpo was recently awarded funding under the 5339 grant. So item A is for the use of 5339 funding for the purchase of buses, resulting in an increase in federal funding for transit vehicle purchases in fiscal year '22 by $4.2 million. And then item B is also for the use of 5339 funding, specifically for workforce development. And that includes updating new hire training, safety training and certification, and multi-system maintenance training. So we're adding this project to the TIP with a total project cost of a little over $87,000. I'm happy to answer any questions on items A or B of Resolution 10-22. And if there are none, I would ask for the board's approval.
May I have a motion, please? For a second? Thank you. We have a first and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Deitchley.
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming.
Yes.
Commissioner Groninger.
Yes.
Councilwoman Groninger.
Yes.
Councilman Hicksonbaugh. Mayor Jenkins.
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Overmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes.
Councilman Root. Mayor Center. Mayor Tolmer.
Yes.
Commissioner Wyrick.
Yes.
Mayor Wood. Additionally, it should be noted that Councilwoman Lori Hammond has joined virtually. Councilwoman Hammond, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 1122.
All right, this is a little bit of a different item, not necessarily one that we have every year, but kind of related to the theme of the meeting.
When you do what?
Pricing right now for buses.
You need me to go over it with you?
No, like.
Can you please mute online?
Yeah, we can, I, sub is here. Okay. Hello. Hi, I went over with Monica, but it's.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
So, pricing for vehicles right now has also gone up significantly. And there were some challenges with vehicle purchases this year. Well, really last year. We had an order, I think in March of 2021 that we placed. In September, we were informed that that order was canceled. And the reason it was canceled was that Braun, the vehicle provider, could no longer they were not able to get the chassis from, I think it was Chrysler, and they could not source Buy American Steel at that point because there was, Chrysler was not willing to sell them additional chassis because Chrysler needed those chassis, just supply chain shortages, right? Additionally, pricing on vehicles has gone up astronomically to the point that the state had to close down the QPA, the Qualified Purchasing Agreement, because the vendor Midwest Transit could no longer provide pricing within that agreed upon price from 2 years ago, right? Because pricing has gone up so significantly. So this led to us having our paratransit vehicles we could not purchase. We could not find Buy American Steel compliant vehicles, and we also could not purchase off of our standard procurement method, the qualified purchasing agreement issued by the state. While that is all resolving, because Midwest Transit is working through with INDOT and with the state on that qualified purchasing agreement, Braun has been able to get Buy American compliant chassis. So we're believing that later this year we'll be able to place orders in 22. But again, there will be a long lead time and wait time for those vehicles to come. So as a safety net, Transpo has some paratransit vehicles that they were about to dispose of because they've hit 100,000 some miles, which is within that vehicle's useful life where they can then dispose of those vehicles and get new vehicles. They have offered to transfer those 2 vehicles to us, and we will take those vehicles on, and we will have them essentially in our fleet as spares. They could act as spares in either 2 ways, because they're kind of a flexible vehicle in this sense. They could either be used in the paratransit fleet, which is that door-to-door service that provides individuals with disabilities service door-to-door, or because these are cutaway vehicles where they are of a larger seating capacity, if we needed to and we had any issues with our big bus fleet where we needed to temporarily run another vehicle because something was down, these could act as replacements, kind of substitutes that day for a big bus, because they are a slightly larger vehicle, but not necessarily a 30-seater kind of thing like our big buses. So what we are asking for is, because we need to show to the FTA that we are in agreement with accepting these vehicles. So this resolution is allowing Transpo to transfer those 2 Chevy Champion ADA paratransit vehicles to MACOG for our use in our fleet. I can answer any questions.
That was a very good explanation. I know we've all been challenged, police vehicles, and wherever you can find them, get them, right?
Exactly. Yep. It should be noted that Transpo may dispose of more vehicles, and depending on where we're at and where orders are at, we may come back at a later date if they have more vehicles that we might want to take on, just as an FYI.
Any questions for James?
There's no cost, it's just a transfer.
It's a no-cost transfer.
Hey, James.
What's that? Oh.
Hey, question. What happens to the vehicles we take out of service?
When we take vehicles out of service, and this is what Transpo would have normally done, is we usually then list them for public auction. And auction is, I'm using loosely here. What we tend to use is a online portal called GovDeals, and we list those vehicles up there, and it's very similar to eBay, and they're listed up there for a period of time, and then when that closes, the largest bid wins. Typically, I could be off in my numbers, so don't quote me on this. Typically, if we receive more than, I believe it's $5,000. Yep, I'm getting nods from the back row, so yeah. $5,000. If we receive more than $5,000, we have to put that into kind of a specialized fund where the proceeds will have to be used on the next vehicle purchase, and they are used at 100%, and they're deducted off that price of that next purchase before we can use federal funds. If it's under $5,000, we just retain those funds and we can use them for other governmental purposes. We typically use them as match for the next vehicles. But that's our typical operating procedure, is to dispose of them through that public auction. We do have the availability, like what's being happened here, to transfer them to another governmental entity. That is another option. We typically don't do that because many of the vehicles, especially say the vans that we have in service, you know, it's a Chrysler Pacifica or a Dodge Caravan, and it's run 100,000 miles in 2 years, and it has gone through some wear and tear. So usually other governmental entities don't have an interest in them. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. It sounds like there is a process by which if a municipality would have use, understanding the wear and tear, there could be a way in which we could submit what would be a request or a bid for it, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
As of right now, we're not disposing of any vehicles though, because we are at a shortage, is what I would say.
Do you need a motion?
I do,
Yeah,
we will need a
I get it.
motion on resolution 1122,
So
because,
if there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
Second.
a
I
first
do
and a
have one
second.
question, please.
Yes,
Sorry, I had my hand up. I didn't know if you could see it.
sorry?
Are the buses that we're getting from Transpo, are those the diesel or are they the natural gas buses?
So these are Chevy, these are the smaller vehicles. So these are the vehicles that are used in the paratransit fleet. So these are not CNG vehicles.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
so I have a first and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Deitchley,
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming,
Yes.
Commissioner Groninger,
Yes.
Councilwoman Groninger,
Yes.
Councilman Hicksonball, Mayor Jenkins,
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Overmeyer,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson, Councilman Root.
Yes, yes. Did you hear me?
Yes, I hear
Yes.
you.
Gotcha.
Councilman Root,
Yes.
Mayor Center, Mayor Tallmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Wyrick,
Yes,
Mayor Wood. That motion carries.
thank you. Next, we have resolution 1222.
All right, Donnie Ritzma with MACOG. Prior to presenting the resolution, I'm going to do it in a form of a very short presentation, just to kind of give you one final update on our disaster recovery and resiliency plan titled Collaborating for Regional Resilience and Economic Growth. Premise for that led to the development of this plan prior to the onset of the pandemic, EDA issued a non-competitive supplemental award that was funded through the CARES Act. So we applied for that back in 2020, in June of 2020. And one of the requirements from, as an award requirement, we had to develop a disaster recovery and resiliency plan. So we took this as an opportunity that would build upon our already established SEDS, 2020, 2024 SEDS, Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. So we use this as an opportunity to build upon that SEDS to incorporate elements that revolves around disaster recovery and economic resiliency. So these will help provide a roadmap for all of you, as well as in our individual stakeholders within the region on implementing short-term priorities for economic recovery, as well as the long-term growth, and help a region withstand against future stresses and shocks. So through the process, we had a number of stakeholder engagement opportunities. This included formulating a steering committee, so this had broad representation of the stakeholders around the region, economic development leaders, as well as public officials, nonprofits, educational institutions. Then from this, we've done a number of stakeholder interviews, as well as then formulated focus groups around those key areas noted on the screen, which are childcare, housing, education, healthcare, arts, cultural, recreation, and lastly, regional marketing. We felt as a region, these were key driving themes that you'll note here in a second. And then following a process of identifying existing conditions analysis, we had issued strategy sessions or workshops with, again, our focus groups to formulate what those specific priorities would be to guide the region. And lastly, we ended last month with a 30-day public comment period of a public input session. So we had a good attendance for that. The region's vision states a region of high-performing, inclusive, and connected communities that provides residents access to global innovation economy and recognized for world-class education and collaborative community partnerships. And again, this builds upon what we already have a vision from our SEDS. So our driving themes, again, building upon our SEDS, focus on growth and prosperity, innovation and adaptiveness, and then diversity and inclusion. And our three key goals that led to the formulating of the strategies involves population growth, high per capita income, increased small business activity. So then specifically what those strategies focused on around place, infrastructure, and the built environment. So this includes some services that MACOG already provides leading roles. So that includes helping communities develop their comprehensive plans or park master plans or any technical assistance, active transportation components. And that involves the local vibrancy and connectivity efforts, as well as last year we had also done a broadband study that is now available on our website to increase broadband access across our region. And then the last set of strategy focuses on regional housing and development. The second category for strategies involves around people, talent, and workforce. Traditionally, this is something we have not played a leading role, but one of the ways that MACOG can provide us support in is we can be a convener, a supporter with stakeholders to get the right people in the room to focus on early learning education opportunities, so that way parents who need child care services can have that ability to do so under future stresses. And then lastly, workforce development. And then the last category involves around business, industry development, and entrepreneurial support. Again, this is something MACOG, and one of the ways we provide support is assisting communities with being designated as Main Street organizations. So that's one of the ways we can provide support for local businesses, as well as our chambers already play a leading role in the South Bend Elkhart Regional Partnership. So this is another area where we can also then play a supporting or a convening role to provide that increased support for entrepreneurs to help their business ventures grow and thrive, especially through any future pandemics. And then lastly, concluding, is implementation efforts. So as I mentioned, there's several strategies MACOG already provides a leading role, and we'll continue to do that because it's key services that we see valuable for our communities, especially in our rural areas. And then areas where we may not have a leading role, but we will be a convener or supporter to help them build collaborative partnerships to brainstorm best solutions and strategies. So with that, I will present, this is Resolution 1222. We are asking the board's approval and endorsement of the Collaborating for Regional Resilience and Economic Growth as an update to our 2020-2024 Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy.
Any questions for Donnie? Any thoughts from the board? Y'all are way too quiet. Motion, please.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Deitchley.
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming.
Yes.
Commissioner Groninger.
Yes.
Councilwoman Groninger.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hammond.
Aye.
Councilman Hicksonbaugh. Mayor Jenkins.
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Overmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson. Councilman Root. Mayor Center.
Yes.
Mayor Tallmer.
Yes.
Commissioner Wyrick.
Yes.
Mayor Wood. Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we have some staff updates.
So I'll lead with this first staff update, letting everyone know that the Indiana Office of Community Rural Affairs had opened up their first round of Community Development Block Grant Program. So this is funds that are available to communities of non-entitlement who meet one of the 3 national objectives. Those proposals for applications are due at the end of this month, and currently we are assisting the town of Claypool. But what these funds can be used for is to help improve infrastructure projects as well as public facilities and blight clearance. So this is a great opportunity to assist those non-entitlement communities who benefit low to moderate income to get these advancements. So those proposals are due at the end of this month. Second round will also be open later this year, that if we can't provide immediate assistance before April 29th for any of your communities, note that round 2 will be opening up later this year, August, September. So that's definitely a service that we will be able to help if you guys have projects that you'd like us to apply for. Those final applications, if we're allowed to move forward, is due July 1st to Okra.
Great, I see no questions. Ready to move on to the railroad crossing update.
Hello again. So our second grant update. So as many of you are aware, the bipartisan infrastructure law is creating several competitive grant opportunities, and they're releasing information as those calls begin to open. So as we see more information on different programs, we are making you guys aware of those. And so recently, more information was released on the Railroad Crossing Elimination Grant Program. And so this will be administered through the Federal Railroad Administration. And the purpose of this grant is to fund highway, rail grade crossing improvement projects that focus on improving the safety and mobility of people and goods. Eligible applicants are local governments or groups of local governments, as well as metropolitan planning organizations. And eligible projects include grade separation or closures, track relocation, improvement or installation of protective devices and signals that aid in improving safety, and then also funding for planning and environmental review of potentially eligible projects. So calls for this will be opening in late spring, and we should have more information available then, and we will continue to make you guys aware of that. But I do anticipate this being similar to the local tracks program that several of you all are familiar with. So happy to answer any questions if you have any, but we'll continue to make you guys more aware of information as it comes.
Do you know if they've changed any of the match requirements on the local side? I mean, as projects are continuing to escalate in cost, it's not like our budget's got to change mid-year.
Unfortunately, I think it's still 80-20.
Okay.
To be determined.
And the one thing to note here is that unlike local tracks, this is a federal program. I know local tracks kind of was going to be state funded and then it kind of got converted into federal funds, but this is applying through USDOT. So it's a fully federal program from start to finish.
Same intention, just through the federal level. And then my final staff update is an exciting one. So you'll recall that between the months of November and January, MACOG staff assisted several communities with applying for NDOT's rule call for projects. And I'm happy to announce that 6 communities were awarded funding through this call. This equates to a $14.6 million investment in the region, which is significantly up from $3 million the previous year. So funds will cover the construction phase of these projects to be bid out in fiscal year 2027, and then funding for preliminary engineering and right-of-way will also be provided as those contracts are executed. So just wanted to give a quick high-level overview of some of the projects that were awarded funding. So first, we have the Wabi Lake Trail in the town of Milford. So as you can see here from this picture, this trail will run from the south side of the town to Wabi Lake Park, which is the only park and public recreation facility within walking distance of the town. It will run 1.12 miles and will include a 10-foot wide asphalt trail, as well as a pedestrian bridge over Turkey Creek. And a huge selling point for this project was the potential quality of life and economic development impacts that it will have on the town and the lake as well. And then the second project is the Bristol Avenue Reconstruction Phase 1 in the town of Middlebury. So the town applied for this project as a whole last year, but due to the sizable request was asked to phase the project. So the town used this call to apply for Phase 1 of the project, which is 0.66 miles in length and will run from Brown Street to Powell Drive, so kind of the southern termini of the overall project. And the scope of work for this will include the reconstruction of the 2-lane roadway, curb and gutter installation, storm sewer installation, and a multi-use path construction that will connect to the Pumpkin Vine Nature Trail. And then the final 4 projects are all bridge projects. So each of our counties receive funding for a bridge replacement project. In Elkhart County, we have Bridge 265 carrying Warren Street over the Little Elkhart River. In Kosciuszko County, we have Bridge 123 carrying Packerton Road over Wayland Ditch. In Marshall County, we have Bridge 231 carrying Center Street over Army Ditch. And then in St. Joseph County, we have Bridge 29 carrying Walnut Road over Potato Creek. So all of these communities have went through the early coordination meetings, are in the process of putting a request for proposals out for preliminary engineering and right-of-way services. But again, just wanted to highlight this major investment in the region and all the exciting projects to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I wanted to provide a little bit of information regarding some of the next steps for our regional freight mobility plan. So as you recall, kind of through the fall and this winter, we are working on stakeholder outreach and other informative meetings to kind of establish our freight profile, which our consultants HDR were able to come present some of that in January. Moving on into this next phase, we're going to be working on the needs assessment kind of through the spring and summer. And the plan is for HDR to come back during this time to present to TTAC and Policy Board on some of those initial findings through strengths, weakness, and opportunities and threats analysis, as well as some discussion to talk about kind of a priority framework for improvements. And so those activities will be coming in the next few months. Thank you.
Good morning. This time next Wednesday, we'll be gathering for our first in-person event in quite some time of this nature, actually since 2019, for our annual Partners for Clean Air Awards Luncheon. But there is a significant education component to that. This year, our theme of the program is sustainable transportation with a focus on active transportation. So we'll have actually folks from Warsaw, Plymouth, and Goshen sharing about their active transportation achievements recently, as well as a little deeper dive into some of the federal funding opportunities that can be used for sustainable transportation and active transportation as well, highlighting those. So if you have not registered, check your email after this meeting. There will be an invite for you to sign up to register, and hope to see many of you there. Thank you.
My update is on the Connect Transit Plan. At the end of March, we had our core consultant team out, Jarrett Walker and Associates, where we spent 4 days, 2 in Elkhart, 2 in South Bend, completely coming up with concepts to completely redesign both the interurban trolley and transpo systems. In these concepts, we came up with 4 different route maps, 2 that were cost neutral, 1 focused on frequency that will have significantly cuts to where the bus is running, but on the corridors that will continue to have service in this concept, there will be much frequent service. We're proposing some 15-minute corridors in the region. Then we will also have a coverage concept where we pretty much tried to run as much service as we could to all the places we've received requests within existing funding, and then came up with 2 conceptual concepts if we had additional funding for how we could expand the transit network. At this point, these results we're currently analyzing with our consultant, making sure that kind of all the numbers work out. We haven't proposed to any bus routes on streets that can't accommodate them and whatnot. And then over the next couple meetings, we will be coming back to you to actually show you these concepts for how Jared Walker is proposing to potentially how we could change the transit network in our region. And we will be coming back to you in particular to kind of see what direction you want our transit network to come. Do we potentially have more transit serving ridership or more serving coverage? You've had a variety of presentations already from Jarrett Walker and Associates, but just wanted to give you the update that we're coming back to you soon with actual maps of how these concepts will work in our region.
And I want to point out on this, that this exercise and these maps that we're going to show you, they are not proposals. Okay, because as Jeremiah mentioned, in the ridership concept, there would be a lot of reduction of service of where routes currently go. But we're trying to show a concept of if you leaned investments heavily towards just ridership, this is what it would look like. So like in an 80-20 mix, where it's 80% ridership, 20% coverage, this is what you would get. If you, in a other concept, we have, if you went more maybe 80-20 in the opposite direction, which is coverage, so we go lots of places, but we don't go there very frequently, right? We're coming every hour, every 60 minutes. So these two concepts are to illustrate what that investment choice looks like. They are not proposals, though, where we are saying adopt one or adopt the other, but more let's have a conversation around these and figure out what that mix of investment really truly looks like. And then when we know where we want to go with that investment mix, then we'll actually develop proposals around that. So we will have a lot of public education opportunities and public involvement opportunities throughout the summer, but you'll hear from us again before these concepts come out, because we don't want anyone to think that they're proposals and that you're gonna get angry phone calls or, you know, people who are disappointed that they're going to lose their service, because that's not what this is intended to show. It is intended to show what that investment mix would actually get us, right? What type of system do we want to buy is that kind of concept. So that'll be important, and we'll try our darndest to get that messaging out there to the public of what we're asking them to comment upon. So just an FYI.
Well, here's
Advanced
hoping-
warning.
Mike, here's hoping none of us have amnesia when this comes back up and we remember these are springboards for discussion only.
Luckily, this is recorded, and you can always find recordings of this on YouTube.
So there you have it.
Thank you, James. And I do want to mention that there will be both public comment now in the concept phase, then we will go back and come up with an actual proposal late summer, and then this fall we'll have a proposal that's based on those policy goals. So we're not gonna have a proposal until the fall,
Perfect, thank you.
based on another round of comment on these concept maps.
Thank you. I have no other staff reports. Do we have any privilege of the floor?
I do have an item that I wanted to just briefly mention. Both the US 30 corridor and US 31 corridors have seen some positive kind of updates or momentum. First, there is the Planning and Environmental Linkages study that we've talked about numerous times. I know that that is moving forward. I believe, based on my sources, that the primary consultant is going to be HNTB. That is speculation at my part, because I don't know that that's formally publicly announced, but I believe that to be the case. And then there will be sub-consultants that have different phases of, different sections of US 30 and US 31. What I have heard, what it is looking like, is that there will be one section that covers the LaPorte, Stark, Marshall County portions of US 30, as well as the Marshall County portion of US 31. So essentially from US 30 down to 110 in that area. And then there will be a second set of consultants that are doing more the Kosciuszko, Whitley, Fort Wayne. There are other, how it's broken up in Fulton and Miami and Cass and down, south of Howard County as well. I wasn't going to get into all those details. It's all subject to change, but I know that there is momentum moving forward, and that hopefully then that those consultants will start engaging in our region and our communities here later this year. So that'll be positive as well. Additionally, there are some conversations moving on both corridors related to some potential projects. I know that recently the state was working on its STIP, which was supposed to be done last year, but it had some challenges and hopefully is finishing completion later this year. But in the STIP, there was a project that caught my eye as an interchange at US 31 and State Road 10. So it is possible that a project is forthcoming on that location. And when it comes to 31, Commissioner Overmeyer, I don't know if you have any updates from your end of things?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank Senator Mishler, who through this legislative session has garnered funds for US 30 and 31. And I was informed Monday by the new commissioner, Mike Smith, and Chief of Staff, Chris Creighton, that 31 and 10, 31 and 110, and 700 North will be in for construction probably in 2027, 2028. I believe those are being taken out of the Pell study. So that is good news for the 31 Coalition for the town of Argus. And one of the things that Commissioner Smith said is that both Marshall County, the town of Argus, Fulton County, we all three passed resolutions in support of each other on what we wanted to see on that corridor. So again, we were informed by Commissioner Smith Monday that those projects are going to come to fruition. And I don't know if Matthew, if you want anything to add to that?
Yeah, just a little bit of clarification. 700 is going to be an overpass.
Overpass.
And then 110 and 10 will be interchanges. And we're
Right.
looking at fiscal year 2028 is my understanding at this point.
Okay.
For letting or
For
construction?
letting, yes.
Okay.
And then Mayor Tallmer, I didn't know if you had anything on the US 30 front that you wanted to share of where things are at there?
Yeah, I'd certainly echo Commissioner Overmeyer's respect for Senator Mishler and the work he did. Representative Heine did a lot of work on the US 30 side as well. I know Senator Mishler carried a big stick and used it, and I'm glad he did. Our coalition has had meetings with the governor, with the governor's chief of staff, with the new NDOT commissioner, and we've also got projects that will be put on the STIP in Allen County, starting around the Amazon project and moving westward on US 30. So again, this is moving. Some of those will be cut out of the Pell. Some of those will stay in the Pell. But the rest of US 30 will be involved in the Pell, obviously. And James, to your point, I had some discussion with a group that had been assigned to the Fort Wayne, Whitley, Warsaw, Kosciuszko portion of the road. And you're exactly right. Whether it's public or not, they're moving. And so I think we're going to see some activity in our communities. And I would just ask you all to be ready in your communities to attend those meetings, and hopefully you're at a point where you've got some community-based recommendations for them, because if not, they're going to tell you what to do.
Sure. There are some, I'd have to look for specifics on which ones, but we are continuing to buy up property and with the anticipation of what's to come after the Pell. So that is something we are doing and have been doing.
It looks like they're doing construction down at, in Tipton
corner?
County at the grade separation
Yeah,
at the railroad.
that has started.
Yeah,
It's not in my
I-
district, but I'm aware that it has
Yeah, I
started,
saw
yes.
that Monday, yeah.
Which
The
railroad
one in
section was that?
Tipton.
The one in Tipton, yeah. I know they're also doing the construction then at
Marshall.
Baker's Corner
Right,
is what
they're
I
doing
call it,
Baker's.
where the speedway used to be.
Yeah,
So,
and I think they're starting at the railroad in Marshall next year, I think.
I have to double check on,
Or
that was the
23 or
expectation.
24.
That was the expectation, but I know we were pretty ambitious, so I got to double check if it's another
Yeah.
year past that or not. Adam, you don't happen to know, do you? On the 23? Okay.
23.
So I think this is exciting for the whole northern region of the state of Indiana, actually. I mean, this is going to help us all. So thank you. And thank you for recognizing Senator Mishler, because I know he was instrumental in making sure this happened. Any other privilege of the floor comments? Okay, and I don't think we have any public comments submitted.
I don't know of any public comments submitted in advance of the meeting. There would only be an opportunity now. Ben?
There are no comments on YouTube right now.
It does not seem like there are any comments in person either.
Great, thank you. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a first, do I have a second? And a second. Do we need a roll call vote for that one?
Legal? Do we need a,
We need a roll call vote to adjourn?
or are we good? We need a,
Okay, may I have a roll call vote, please?
hold on, let me find my sheet. All right. Councilwoman Campbell. Deputy Commissioner Deitchley.
Yes.
Commissioner Fleming. Commissioner Groninger. Councilwoman Groninger.
Yes.
Councilman Hicksonbaugh. Councilwoman Hammond.
Aye.
Mayor Jenkins.
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Overmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson. Councilman Root. Mayor Center. Mayor Tallmer.
Yes.
Commissioner Wyrick.
Yes.
Mayor Wood.
Motion's adjourned, thank you.